What's up, everybody? Bradley Flowers here with this week's episode of Centers of Influence, the show where we bring you influential people in Mobile doing cool things. And I'm so excited today to have the gold standard in customer service, Holly Johnson, owner-operator with Chick-fil-A here in Bel Air Mall. Holly, tell everybody who you are, where you came from, and how you got to be the owner-operator of this Chick-fil-A.
Well, thanks for having me, Bradley. I'm excited to be here. My path to Chick-fil-A was a little different. I came from a corporate background, did some sales and training with newspapers in the past, and stayed home for a couple of years when I had my young children and decided to look for a marketing job part-time in the Daphne, Alabama area, and I landed at Chick-fil-A in Daphne. I worked for the operator over there, Daniel Nance, for 8 years. Doing marketing. He opened a second restaurant, so helped him through that process. And about 6 years in, decided that this was the path I wanted to take. I just never thought I would see myself owning a restaurant. But I fell in love with the culture at Chick-fil-A and the people and the environment, and I just never left. I mean, I couldn't imagine that I would have been there for 8 years when I started. I thought it was going to be really short term for me, just something to kind of get through, and started the interview process with Chick-fil-A. I wanted to stay local to where we live and where our family is, and the Bel Air Mall opportunity opened up after a couple of years of long interview process, and so that's how I ended up here, and I've been here now for about 4 years.
Tell us about the process of going from what you were doing to owner-operator, because I understand it's a little bit rigorous.
Yes, being an owner-operator in Chick-fil-A is more than a full-time job. We actually call it a lifestyle. You're in the restaurant a lot. It's not a owner-operator franchise role where you hire somebody and then you step out of the role.
It's not a glass chessboard.
No, not at all. So we are in the daily operations daily, we're cleaning drains, cleaning bathrooms, waiting on guests, putting orders together, fixing a fry henny, kind of whatever it takes.
What I like to say.
Yes, definitely. We kind of do it all. In addition to really trying to grow the brand, be a member of the community is really important to us, and just representing Chick-fil-A well.
Yeah, and I think it's important to, I always relate everything back to insurance. I think about these insurance companies that have extremely strong brands, and almost always their hiring process is super rigorous.
Yeah.
And I think it's just as important for the person going to work or going to be a franchisee to make sure that they fit and can carry on that culture as it is for the company to make sure that person will do the same.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And even as an owner-operator, we're constantly looking for what we call A players. So, sometimes you end up with players that aren't quite A's, but when you're interviewing, we're even looking just for team members that fit those same qualities of service, that really understand what it means to serve in their heart instead of just somebody that wants a job. Yep. This is a little bit more than just a job.
Yeah, it's very important, I think, for businesses like ours that could be perceived somewhat as transactional, to have somebody who's not that way and can get bought into the mission. And what do you think? What do you think separates Chick-fil-A from a customer service, customer experience compared to other fast food franchises? Because when you go down the street and I see another franchise right here and there's 3 people in line, and I see over here and there's 25 people in line at Chick-fil-A, and it's moving.
Right.
What's the differentiator, you think? I know there's a lot of things, but if you had to pick one thing that's just the X factor, what do you think that would be?
I think it's our expectations. I think because as operators we are in the restaurant so much that we have the expectation that our team always serves well, and I don't think we ever let up on that. So the team, it's the people that work at Chick-fil-A really are special people. It is not an easy job. especially right now. Like you said, we are busier than ever. and continuing to try to like uphold those standards when you're serving, you know, like you said, like a drive-through line, or for example, for us, when we take orders out to curbside and we have a 60-second walk to even get from point A to point B, just trying to kind of uphold those standards of speed and service. I'm still trying to smile behind a mask.
Yeah.
You know, trying to be relational, but trying to be really fast with that. I think it's just kind of that expectation that we set from day one of, you know, we expect people to serve when they're here.
And I think a lot about, too, you said something that reminded me, I think I'm not an Alabama fan, but I think a lot about Nick Saban and how they talk about how every single thing down to the most minute detail is planned and thought out. And I kind of sense that it's the same thing here, right?
Yeah.
When you said the 60-second walk to the car.
Right.
It's so. At what point, like, what happens when there's a break in that chain?
Yeah, I mean, we don't always get it right. So, you know, but like leaving a straw out of somebody's bag, I mean, that's sounds like a really minute thing, but that's a big deal if you're the customer and you don't have a straw and you're driving down the road. And so really every time something like that happens that we become aware of, pointing it out, which does, you know, my team sometimes thinks I'm really too like specific, like, you know, I'm always like on the details, and I tell them that, you know, that's just the customer's expectation, that's the standard that we've set, that's why we're Chick-fil-A, and we care, like we actually care that we left that straw out of somebody's bag. You know, I mean, we'll drive an order to somebody's house if we messed up something. We really do try to fix problems that happen, and I think that's another thing is that, you know, we do try to instill that that message and vision throughout the company that, you know, we have to care. Every single person has to care about the customer.
When I think about, too, a buddy of mine on Nas that owned Tropical Smoothie Cafe, not too far from here, used to tell his team, you know, you never know what that person who's ordering that smoothie that day is dealing with.
Right.
What if they're about to do something terrible and they're going to get their favorite smoothie, is the last thing they're going to do, and your smile or your good attitude or your negative attitude pushed them over the edge one way or the other.
Yeah.
You never, and you know, I talk about this to Kenneth a lot, or to the team, is we never know what that person's going through, and we need to basically give them the benefit of the doubt that they may be having a bad day, and don't let that affect our attitude, because I think when things get really bad customer service wise is when you give it back to them, and that's when you can have a problem.
Yeah, I agree. There's a video called Everybody Has a Story that Chick-fil-A put out that it's amazing, because we like to show it at orientation, because it really does, you know, it just shows you just don't know what people are going through. You don't know what the rest of their day is going to bring. And if we can provide just the comfort of, you know, feeling like you're with family, you're with friends when you're here, if we can bring a smile to somebody's face, you know, that's what makes the best days here. I mean, we've recently done a lot of annual reviews with our team, and every single person, like when you ask them, you know, what do you like most about Chick-fil-A? They all say the people, and it's the guests and the people that work here. It's kind of both. And, you know, like I said, we have bad days. I mean, we definitely have days where we don't get it right. And, you know, we also ask, I mean, right now with COVID, I think everybody's tension is so high and so strong. And so we do ask, you know, for our guests also to give us that same grace, you know, that we also sometimes can be, you know, having a rough time or a bad day or something's gone wrong. And so I think just to bring a little bit of a smile into the world, I think just can carry such a strong meaning.
Does setting that bar so high come with a little bit of pressure to keep that bar high? And because what I'm getting at is sometimes I think if you have a really the bar is really high, customers notice it more when there's an issue sometimes.
Right.
So like, I'll give you an example. Me and my wife were out of town a couple weeks ago. We went to Chick-fil-A, and we're driving, and I'm digging around the bottom of the bag looking for that extra fry. And I was like, dang it, Chick-fil-A, there's never an extra bag in the bottom fry. They're always in there. And 2 days ago, I went to another Chick-fil-A, not this one, and the fries were upside down, poured out in the bag, which if I'd have been to any other fast food place, I wouldn't have. But I'm like, wow,
Right.
that's really out of character.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely like you said, you call us the gold standard, and that creates just that in itself that people think that, it sets an expectation. I even have it myself. I mean, I eat, people laugh at me, but like even if we're on trips or if I'm in a different part of town, I often go by Chick-fil-A. And you go there because it's comfort, you know what you're going to get, you know what the service is going to be. And then if there's that one time that you don't, it's really disappointing. And
So when you go to that Chick-fil-A, do you tell them, or do you not tell
if
them?
I know the operator, sometimes I
Okay.
do. And other operators that come here sometimes will, let me know about something that they received. Just because we're always like trying, because again, the goal is that, no matter where you go, which Chick-fil-A you choose, you're getting the same standard, right?
Are you analyzing things when you're there? I'm sure that you can help it.
Yeah, you can. Actually, I do that like every restaurant that I go to.
Yeah. It's probably unavoidable. Like my dad's an electrician. He can't go into a building without looking at the lights and why did they put that there and that sort of thing.
Right, yeah. That's
So-
definitely part of it.
So the viewers of this show are mainly business owners. If you had one thing that you learned being an owner-operator of a Chick-fil-A that you could instill in other businesses, what would that be?
Wow.
It's a heavy question, sorry.
Right, no. I mean, I definitely think, Truett Cathy, our founder, one of his most famous quotes, I believe, is, it's not about the chicken, it's about the people, and I think that is true in so many ways. It's not just our guests. Our guests are super important, but it's also our team and our culture and our environment. Because if you don't have that, then you aren't able to serve your guests well. I always tell like my management, like their customers are the people that work for them. Because if you serve them well, then they're on the front lines and they're gonna serve our guests well. And so that service mindset, I think no matter what industry you're in, you can apply the mindset of service, whether you work for the county government or a different restaurant or insurance chain, whatever it is, like people just want to feel heard.
Yep.
And if we can bring a smile and make people feel heard for the day, you just don't know what kind of change you can make in somebody's life.
I think that's a good quote to end on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
If someone wants to patronize this Chick-fil-A, tell them where you're located.
Yes, so we are the Chick-fil-A in Bel Air Mall. We have a curbside service. You can order on the mobile app, pull into a curbside spot, and we bring your food out to you. We also serve in the restaurant right now. We do front counter service too. And we just recently started operator-led delivery. So we actually have Chick-fil-A team members. If you live within a certain range of this particular Chick-fil-A, you can order on the app, and a Chick-fil-A team member, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's other people, will actually bring the food to your house.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's contactless. We leave it at the door. And of course, we also do third party through, some of the third party servers as well. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, you can get us a lot of different ways.
I can't wait to try that.
Yeah.
Just to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I hope you have a good experience. Let me know.
I will, absolutely, absolutely. I'll tell Kenneth, and that's how there we go.
Right.
Guys, really appreciate you watching. That is this week's episode of Centers of Influence. We will see you next week.